Our parsha this week includes the horrific sin of the golden calf, as the Jewish people shockingly bow down to an idol just after receiving the Torah. But I'd like to highlight and focus not on the golden calf, but on a verse in the aftermath of the golden calf, where the Torah makes a comment about the relationship between Moshe and the Almighty. And the Torah tells us in chapter 33, verse 11, V'diber Hashem el Moshe, God would speak to Moshe, panim el panim, face to face, kasher yadaber ish el re'ehu, the same way that man speaks with his fellow. And there's a lot of literature to discuss what exactly was unique about the relationship between Moshe and God. Moshe was the prophet of all prophets, but of course he didn't actually speak to God literally face to face. God doesn't have a face. So there's a lot of literature to understand exactly what this relationship was. But the Torah clues us in, tells us something, kasher yadaber ish el re'ehu, that the relationship was the same way that man speaks to his fellow. I heard a very nice comment by Rabbi Shalom Baum, who's a rabbi in New Jersey, who suggested that even that part of the verse in 2022 has become difficult to understand. That the way that man speaks to his fellow is supposed to make us understand the relationship between Moshe and God, but we live in a generation where even between man and his fellow, we find that people have difficulty with communication. Putting aside the fact that we live in such a polarized world where people are often fighting with each other, just the idea of having face-to-face communication has become difficult in our generation. Often you're speaking to someone, and while you're in the middle of a conversation with them, and I myself am guilty of this at times as well, in the middle of the conversation you see them pull out their phone and they're busy doing something else. That people have such a tough time keeping concentration, focus, panim el panim, speaking face-to-face. And while we don't understand the relationship between Moshe and God, and we can never fully understand exactly what that means, hopefully each of us are be able to at least fulfill and understand the second part of the verse, to make sure that our relationships between one another are face-to-face, where we give each other the attention that we deserve. I wish you all a wonderful Shabbos.